Welcome to Streams of Income, hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur Dr. David Powers, where we discuss streams of income, passive income, residual income, and even why there are dinosaurs and zombies in this intro. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Pi Education Hour, and if you're tuning in for the first time, we have been going through a book called Home Business Tax Savings Made Easy by Ronald Mueller. And so we are in chapter 3 today. Don't worry, if you've missed the previous sessions that we've done, they're all right there on the Facebook group. You can go back and find those. And you can actually jump into this anytime and get what you need to out of it. And so this one, what we're going to cover today, the name of this chapter, is some of your personal expenses can be converted into valuable business deductions. And so as we dig into this education hour, or whatever the time may be that we get into it, we're going to be talking about this. And I'm going to go over some specifics that he has in the chapter here. But the one thing I want you to really realize, the one thing I want you to realize is that if it's, in general, if it's deductible as a business expense for, any kind of business, a brick and mortar, Walmart, Best Buy, any business that you can think of, a small business that's in an office, a construction lawyer, anything like that, it can also be deducted as well for a home office based business. So the size of the business and where it is housed does not apply to all these deductions. So many of these apply across the board to any type of business. Later on, we'll get into a few that may not, but we'll also dig into a few in future chapters where you'll find that there are additional deductions for home office businesses that do not apply to regular brick and mortar businesses or anything outside the home. So let's get into this chapter. All right, so this is very important. I want you to get this. It's a shift in the way I want you to be thinking about this. With a home-based business, your home is your office building. So the costs to maintain the business portion become tax-deductible expenses. And so before I get into anything specific, I want to reiterate, I should probably say this for all these, and I might have been. I am not a tax professional. I'm not a legal professional. I'm not giving professional advice. I'm simply giving you information from a book that I read. If you have any questions or want to do any of this, please consult a tax or legal professional. All right, with that said, let's dig in. All right, so it's pretty neat, though, actually, on this. He's got a chart, and on the one side, he's got check marks, legal business deductions. He's got the specific in the middle, and on the right side, it says legal home business deductions. And so all the check marks are on both sides. So let's go straight down the list here. And you know what? Actually, let's go through the latter part of the book in case he digs into anything more. Man, I apologize for all this coughing. It is coming up on springtime here in upstate South Carolina, and the pollen is moving around and giving my allergies a fit. And so I do apologize if I start coughing, sneezing, anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and get me a drink while all of you get your paper and pens ready to take some notes. Oh, yeah. All right. Mortgage interest or rent. Now, here's the thing. You might say to yourself, well, I have a home-based business, but I don't own my house. I'm renting an apartment, renting a house. I can't deduct that. Well, how many businesses around the world near you don't own their buildings? They merely rent. Most of them. And so that applies to you as well. So rent or mortgage interest. If you own, you're looking for the mortgage interest. And be sure with your tax professional or the tax software, whatever you're using, it'll factor all this for you, but you don't get the entire rent or mortgage interest deducted. It's a portion based on the size of the home office compared to the total home. And when I say home, I mean where you live. I'm not saying house, I'm saying home. So that could be an apartment. Let's see. All right, gas, electric, water, and sewer. So basically, utilities. You can deduct a certain amount of utilities based on the size, and so I don't have to repeat that every time. A lot of these deductions are based on the size. For instance, my house. With pest control, we've got both termite control and we have the house sprayed for bugs, spiders, whatever might crawl in and try to eat me while I'm sleeping. And so based on the percentage of my house that is dedicated to home office, I'm able to deduct that percentage of the entire pest control bill. And so that's just a for instance there. All right, janitorial service to clean your office space. So this is one of those areas where it is really good. You can hire your kids for this and pay them for it. Then you deduct it off the business as a perfectly legal tax deduction. All right. He's got a bunch of stuff listed here. I'm just going to say office equipment. And so he's talking about computers, phones, copiers, that kind of thing. So just office equipment. That's going to be computers, printers, any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to say office supplies. He mentions paper pens and postage. And on the tax forms, there's actually, I think, a separate spot for postage and delivery because I ship a lot of things out. My books, things I sell on eBay, things of that nature. And so postage and delivery is its own category. But office supplies that you use for your home-based business. And then office furniture. This could include your desk. I'm sitting at a desk right now. A sofa, any of the furniture in a waiting room. And I know we're talking home-based business. Most of you are probably thinking, okay, it's a spare bedroom that I've turned into an office. I put my desk and the bookshelf and a printer and some things in there. And I've got a couch where I'll sit and do some creative work, that kind of thing. Or an artist, you might have an easel in there, that kind of thing. I've known people that had home offices that they were as nice as any office you'd see away from home. And so you may actually have a waiting room or anything like that. I'll leave that up to you and your needs. All right, so coffee tables, any other furniture. Let's see. Painting, wallpaper, carpeting, and maintenance. So let's just say we're going to talk about home office upgrades, repairs, and maintenance. And so this one has actually come into play with me before because of some general maintenance I've done on the house where I was able to take a percentage of that, like say, I don't know, upgrading the HVAC system, that kind of thing. Any communication, phone bills, cell phones, things of that nature. All right, here's the neat one I like. Professional literature. And so this could be newspapers, magazines, books, things of that nature. In the tax forms, it says professional literature. And so if I'm buying, I can't see a title of one from here, but if I'm buying a business book and reading that to try to improve my business, which we've talked about before, that's me actively engaging in the business to become better at the business and increase the profit. And so that becomes, it's professional literature. It's research that I'm doing, and I needed that book for it. And so if you like to read like me, is a great way to take something you're already doing anyway, continuing education and reading, and make it deductible. Travel, there are a lot of travel deductions that you can take. And we're actually, I believe later on, there's an entire chapter dedicated to travel. And so I'm just going to say, I'm going to mention what he's got here on the small list. Plane fares, hotels, meals, and rental cars. Not all of that's 100% deductible. And you have to jump through some hoops to record how you do that. But there are a lot of travel. If I'm traveling to a business conference, guess what? Almost all that is going to be tax deductible. All right. Now we get to the entertainment section. Lunches, ball games, theater tickets. There are ways to deduct a lot of the entertaining that you do for yourself, for clients, that kind of thing. So follow the rules. But I'm just giving you a rough list right now. We're going to get into a lot of these a lot more later on. And also... you can check with your tax professional on that stuff too. And wow, we're almost to the end of this chapter. We're going to be getting into chapter 4 soon. All right, let's see. Oh, once again, I apologize for the coughing. Oh, you know what? I've got this snazzy new microphone here, and it has a mute button on the top. I'm actually going to try that. I'm going to hit the mute button on the top. You just tap the very top, and I'm going to cough and get me a drink. And you guys let me know in the comments if it worked or not. There we go. I did notice that as soon as I tapped that button on the top, the colors went off, and I guess that's my indicator that I am truly muted. Now, if this microphone has thoroughly fooled me, you guys let me know in the comments and say, Dave, we could hear that cough, man. We could hear you drinking out of your Nalgene bottle right there. The mute button doesn't work. Y'all let me know, okay? All right, now insurance, health, dental, and other types of insurance. See the next one: security alarms, motion detectors, and hidden cameras. And we're talking about pretty much anything to do with security, floodlights, motion detectors, alarm systems. I mean, whatever you can think of. Here where I live on this farm, that could be trail cams that I've got planted outside in the trees facing my office, that kind of thing. Make sure people aren't breaking in to steal all my top secret classified materials of future projects and things like that. All right, company cars and even boats. Now that one really interests me. That he does say here that we're going to cover that in detail in chapter 8. I'm looking forward to digging into that. A car or boat does not have to be used exclusively for business purposes in order to be partially deductible. Interesting. Some of y'all are thinking, boat. Get a nice pontoon boat to take the family out, or a nice bass boat so you can go out on the lake or in the river just to do some thinking about the business, that kind of thing. All right, contributions to employee retirement plans. Now, some of you might be under the impression that if you are self-employed, you cannot do a company retirement plan, but you can. You can actually do one, and you can have the company contribute and match and whatever you want to do, almost the exact same way that 401ks are done at larger companies. And so we'll get into that later too. All right, general maintenance and repairs. That one's already kind of been mentioned. Let's see. Holiday cards, gifts, these could be deductible as long as they are from your business, not you personally. But let's be honest, if it's from a small business, who else is it coming from? I mean, so it's from the business, yes, but it's from you because you're a nice, kind person and you like to send holiday cards and gifts. And then let's see. Okay, there's another last thing about health insurance premiums. He already mentioned it, but let me read this because if he put it out like this, he probably wants us to really notice it. All right. If you are self-employed and not included in a health insurance plan paid for, even partially, by an employer, you may be eligible to deduct 100%. Now, he said maybe, so check on this. 100% of your health insurance premiums, but only up to the amount of the net income, meaning profit from your business. So that's one thing to be careful of. One of the big things about small businesses is that we want to maximize the deductions to the point where we basically show no income or very little income that we get taxed on. And so this is one where you can take the deduction, but it will only be up to the amount of the profit from your business. But guess what? Work on that with your accountant or your tax professional and see how those numbers work out. Now, there's a note at the bottom. This deduction applies only to sole proprietors, single owner LLCs, and C corporations, and is not subject to the 10% threshold that applies to other medical related expenses. Very nice, very nice. And then I'm going to read, at the end of this chapter, he's actually Man, I am liking that mute button, especially when I start coughing more. So at the end of this chapter, he's got some scripture, and I'm going to mention the reference he's got here so that you can look it up. But it's Matthew 25, verses 14 through 30. So I'm going to let you look that one up on your own. And then there's an author note. I'm going to read this, and then we're done for this short Pi Education Hour. Next week, though, chapter 4. Determining your business deductions when your business is based in your home. So we're going to be talking about indirect expenses, direct expenses, and business assets. And I realize saying that sounds so incredibly boring. I'll try to liven it up a little bit, and hopefully my cough will be gone. All right, the author's note. We are legally, ethically, and honorably bound to pay every penny of taxes required under the law. And I truly believe in that. I may not agree with the taxes, but being a citizen of this fine United States of America, I am legally, ethically, and honorably bound to pay what is required. Here's the rest of the author's note, though. Some of that was me. Here's the rest of the note, though. But are we being good stewards of God's money if we overpay our taxes while we continue to drown in debt? This book will show you how to reduce your own taxes to the legal minimum. That's a really amazing way to look at this whole thing. We are bound by God to pay our taxes, our fair share of the taxes that are required of us, whether we agree with them or not. And there's quite a few verses on that in Scripture, and quite a few. Paul talked about it. Jesus talked about it. And so I'll let you look those up. You can disagree with me if you want, and you're welcome to say so in the comments and everything. But we are spiritually bound to pay the taxes required of us by our government, unless for some reason it is immoral or against God to do so. And that's a very big judgment call at that point. But the thing is, if you're overpaying your taxes, or in my opinion, if you're a W-2 employee, and you're paying all those taxes in because of the way you've managed your deductions and things like that, so that you get a refund at the end of the year. And this talking about W-2 employees right now. That basically means that you have loaned the IRS all that money all year, interest-free. And I have to ask, from that author's note, is that the best use of God's money? To loan it to the IRS or to overpay? Think about it this way: the more money you can take home, the more money you have to give to your church, the more money you have to give to people in need as God puts it on your heart, and the more you have to direct toward the calling that God has for your life. And so that's what I want out of all this. My main goal, although it may seem that way, my main goal is not to lower your taxes just because I don't want to give Uncle Sam any more than he is due. That's not my goal. My goal here is to make sure that you have more money to take home to do with it as God tells you to. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you all have enjoyed this. And thank you so much for putting up with me coughing on and off through this whole thing. And I will see you in the next edition of the Pi Education Hour. So guess what? I turned 50. It's already happened. And depending on when you watch this, I don't know how long ago it happened. I've noticed a few new extra gray hairs already. But, here's the thing. I want to make this year my half-century year. I want to make it amazing, absolutely amazing. And I want your help with that. I put out a call before my birthday in early January that I wanted folks to send me the most amazing books that they have read. I'm a bibliophile, a book nut. Matter of fact, that's the small bookshelf behind me. I guess some people might call me a book hoarder. I don't like the term because I read them. I take notes in them. I mark them up. I draw pictures and doodles and write books based on the books I read. And so here's what I need from you. I want you to send me, for my 50th birthday year, my half-century of life year, send me the most amazing book that you've read lately, one that changed your life, maybe when you read it before. And so if you're going to do that, just get in touch with me. I don't want to just blast my address everywhere out there, but just get in touch. I'll give you my address, everything, so you can send me that amazing book. And I also want to hear your stories. I want to hear why this book is so amazing. I've already had a lot of folks sending me books, and matter of fact, I've almost finished several of them. I'll read several books at one time, just depending on my mood, time of day, things like that. And so if you will, help me out with that. Get in touch. I'll tell you where to send it, but I want to hear from you about the books in your life that truly changed your life.